Welcome to Perspectives, a podcast by Essence Learning LLC, and a place where leaders learn from leaders. Let's join today's episode.
Hello, welcome back to season 2 of Essence Learning, our Perspectives podcast. I am so happy to be back, and I'm very excited for today's topic as we talk about women and minority leaders. And for those of you who are listening, it's such a sad ordeal to not miss out on the energy in the room because I am sitting here and having the chance to talk to 3 CEOs who are women and who are minorities, and we're going to have a great conversation today. So before I jump into what we're going to talk about, I'd like to give our 3 CEOs and our women the chance to introduce themselves. So let's go ahead, and we want to go and start with Valerie.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Kiki, for being here, and especially to Abigail and to Ivette for joining us on this very important topic. I've been with Essence Learning since 2003, and since 2018, we really just got started on our leadership journey. And so these types of topics are very particularly important to Essence Learning and to myself. We talk about leaders in the workplace, and we start to look at the dynamics of the leaders in the workplace. Is a very important topic, women and minorities, and how does that dynamics work now? And it's important for us as leaders to share, the value that we as women and minorities bring to the organization. So this topic is very important to me. So thank you all for joining and listening, and we look forward to getting some feedback from you all after you've heard the podcast. But I'll turn it over to you, Abigail.
Hi, my name is Abigail Moore, and I'm the CEO for the San Antonio Council on Alcohol and Drug Awareness. I'm the first Latina to lead this organization that's been around for 51 years. And so I see it as an honor and a privilege to be able to learn and to give back to the community.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yvette?
Well, I am so honored to be here with such distinguished ladies and powerful leaders. My name is Ivette Mayo, and I am the CEO of Power on Heels Fund, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. But I'm also the president and CEO of Yo Soy I Am, which is a consulting firm. So like many women today, we are multifaceted and leading in different spaces. So my company started in 2004, and so I run 2 organizations in parallel. So a lot of women out there doing that same thing. So I'm so happy to be here to share some insights, but most importantly, part of this leadership journey that I'm part of, but all of us are part of.
Right. Yes. Great. Thank you all for introducing yourselves and giving such great background information about who you are and sharing that with us. So let's go ahead and jump into this because I think it's going to be a great conversation that we're going to have regarding women in the workforce. So there has recently been a shift, right, in our workforce and how we're composed of, and women currently make up majority of the workforce at 52%. However, there is still a gap when we talk about women and minority women in those leadership positions, especially when we're looking at for Fortune 500 companies or any mid-sized level company, there seems to be a lack of minority women. Can you share your experience as a women minority leader? We're very interested in understanding your highs, your lows, your insecurities. What are some of the things that you have had to overcome being in the positions that you are in now? I know that you've gotten there. What are some of those things and those challenges that you've all had to overcome? We can start with Yvette, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. So I think one of the things that I hope that we will experience in our lifetime, ladies, is the fact that we can stop saying she's the first. Can we just get over that conversation? When I hear it, I guess I celebrate it for a moment, and then the next moment is, my goodness, when are we going to stop being the first at anything? Women have been leading since the beginning of time, right? But the question is, the title, there's responsibility and there's all this acknowledgement to the title. I believe women are more than capable to lead in any level 1 at the C-suite level, starting their own businesses. I think it comes down to some confidence. I think that I know I can't speak for everyone here, but I know that for myself, as a person who was productive in my 30-year career in aviation, banking, and real estate, I was very successful. I made a lot of people a lot of money. But I hesitated when it came to time to take on more leadership responsibilities. I fully accepted my roles at organizations, but it took others to push me into leadership. They saw things in me that I didn't see or believe in myself. And I think that it was where I was in my mid-30s where I made that personal shift, where I decided that I can do this and I can do it well and do it better. And so that's when I decided that I had to make that shift. So I think there may be some people out there who may be feeling the same way. And Valerie and I were speaking prior to this, and one of the things that I find in my training of women and working with organizations, Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies that I have the privilege of working with, is helping women at all levels understand that they deserve to be there.
That's right.
They are worthy, but most importantly, they have what it takes. You know, when it comes to applying for a job, a man will apply for a job on potential.
Yes.
You know, he'll see 10 bullet points and he says, I can do 3 and I can learn the other 7. Right? A woman will see the same 10 bullet points and say, I can only do 4. I'm not going to do this because I'm not qualified. Right? So we have to create that shift in ourselves to believe, you know what? I've gotten this far. Those 3, 4, 5, 6 things they need from me, I can learn those, you know, in this new role because I'm more than capable.
And I don't want to stop your flow, but I want to just interject right here. But I want you to keep going with your thoughts. One of the things that when you said that, the men say, well, you know what? I can do 3 of those and train on the other 7.
Right.
But the opposite side of that is they trust that they will learn it. Women haven't gotten that space yet where you know, they come in and say, well, we only have 7. I don't know if you can do you've got 7. I don't even know if you can do the other 3. Right. Where a man can come in and say, I got 3. And well, you'll get the other 7. So we've got to really get in that space where people will understand that we may not have all 7, but believe, just like you believe for the man, that we can also make that leap and develop in that way. So but that was just interesting, trusting in that.
Yeah, we do. We have to trust in that. And that's where we have to build that personal confidence in ourselves. And that's why I believe that women have the capacity to lead. That's right. It's the belief that we have to incorporate in ourselves. Yes. And not only ourselves, but the generation around us and those that we are mentoring and helping foster, you know, the idea that they can lead as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, Valerie.
I was just sparked the whole, I don't want to take us down the rabbit hole, but it just sparked a whole nother conversation in me, you know, in terms of the trust that women are coming in and some of that barrier that we were talking about before as to why I don't really want to apply for that job is because I'd have to develop the 7 and will they give me the opportunities? Will I be able to, or will I always be chasing that? Where a man could come in and they'll say, oh, well, we'll put you through this class or we'll take you through this. So those equal opportunities and those resources, we as women have to come in and ask for them. Say, you know what, I don't only have the 7, but I can do the 3 and I need you to trust me and give me 90 days. We have to sell that. And men don't really have to do that. But we're in that position and that's where we are. And we just need to recognize that and be aware that we're in a position where I'm going to apply for the job and I'm going to do a good job and I can show you that I can do it. But it's just already that trust factor for men that we still are trying to build.
Yes. Abigail, we'd love to hear your perspective on this as well.
Okay, so I believe that as women, my leadership style is trying to be that servant leader. I see the strengths in other people and what can I do? What can I contribute to that individual to help them be successful at whatever position they're in? So looking at people's strengths and looking at opportunities and resources. And my leadership style has always been that servant leader because I can't lead by myself. It takes a team to be successful out there. And then how can we bring other people along? Whether it's minorities, women, just individuals that are doubting themselves. And I see the strengths in others and how can we help develop them along the way so they can be successful. I've always had people pour into me and show me that I have the skills, the tools, and the personality to lead. And so it's often being able to pass that along to other people.
Great. Yeah, and when you all were talking, I got a lot of common themes around that, and a lot of it, and that's a great segue, Abigail, to really what we want to talk about next is, instilling that confidence in others. I know that myself, as being a new leader in the executive world, I go in sometimes unconfident and unsure of myself, but I want to make sure that I'm confident and also bring people along with me, like Abigail said. So how can organizations make that room and that space for more minority women?
I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to kind of lean back into the last question and kind of work myself to where you want us to go right now, Kiki. One of the things as women, as we experience the shift that we've been talking about, to 52% of the women are in the workplace. I don't know how many of those are leaders. That number. And I started thinking about this morning when I got into this space, and I was even sharing with Ivette a little earlier, when I got into this space back in 1975, women were just getting into the workplace. 1973, we were just now walking into the space. So here at a very young age, a woman, African-American woman at a very young age, with no college at that time, right? Just coming out of high school in 75. I graduated high school in 75. So I was walking into a savings and loan business. Leadership was not the term. I had an occupation in a career in a corporate environment that was, administrators or whatever. I was a teller, right? Going into that environment. You don't necessarily at that point earlier in my career, didn't necessarily think about becoming a leader. That was not what was presented to us. So oftentimes I think, are we presenting those opportunities for our people now, for minorities, for women? That it's just not, you come in at entry level. And so the career opportunities, we don't necessarily present it as you can be a leader. And so I talk to people all the time. No, you lead from wherever you are. You're a leader.
Right.
I use that term. I'd rather use that term than employee or acquaintance or colleague. This is a leader in our organization. This is a leader. Because you lead from where you are. And you are leading someone. You're influencing someone. You have a contribution that's unique. And so when you bring that unique contribution and influence, you're leading someone. And sometimes you lead up. You lead your boss. Sometimes you lead, your colleagues around. So to kind of further to answer your question is, you got to really think to talk to people in that space that you're not an administrator. You're a leader. You may be the lead administrator, but you're still leading. And you may be a leader as the CEO, but you still have to lead the peers. You still have to lead externally. So your leadership roles, I like to think of everybody as a leader. I guess lead from where you are. I think we talked about that. And then my style, and kind of talking to what Abigail was saying, my style is to empower people to lead. So when I talk to you that way, my expectation is that you're going to respond as a leader. Now, I don't want you to go beyond your potential. I want everybody to feel comfortable. This is my capacity. I respect that, and I want you to operate in that. But I want you to lead where you are. So if you say I'm an administrator and that's really all I want to be, then I want you to be a lead administrator. I want to be the best administrator. So I'm going to challenge you and push you in that role to your potential. Right. If you say I want to be the next president, and you are an administrator, then we're going to push you until you get there. But we're not past your capability. So that's kind of my style, is to challenge people to make sure that I understand what their potentials are, what their dreams are, what their aspirations are, because everybody doesn't want to be in a position of VP but I think everybody is a leader, and they want to be respected as a leader of their own talent, leader of their own selves, and not necessarily a leader in a position. So that title doesn't give you a leadership role. But, you're responsible as one person to another to lead in the environment you're in. And so that's kind of what I think about women and minority leaders. So I struggle with titles. My daughter's like, what do you want to, I don't even know. I don't even know what I want you to put. I just, a leader. That's kind of, I don't want you to put me a CEO, founder, or coach, facilitator, because you're all of those things, right? You're all of those things. And so to try to put that under your name, it's hard.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was my speech. I probably have anything else to say. It was all I was going to say for the whole podcast.
No, but I really want to build on that, because So when we talk about, when we define leadership styles, I think we have different leadership styles in different places in our lives. I think leadership is situational. It can be in a personal situation about personal choices and decisions you have to make for self. So you have to learn to lead yourself. Often as women, we're always taught to serve others, don't think about ourselves. If we have $20, do we give this to our family or to our community? Before we always spend that on ourselves. So we're always thinking outward. But I think when we talk about leadership today and for women to move forward in the leadership role, we have to, as women, accept the fact that we lead. We lead each and every day. We lead in our homes. We lead in our businesses. We lead in our communities. We lead for our causes. Even in conversations, we are always leading ideas and we're moving things forward. So I think we have to accept that and embrace that, because far too often men don't always think women lead. They think that we manage things, but we don't lead things. And so we just need to help kind of demystify this idea. Because, one of the things that I love the fact that Abigail says she's the first Latina. So not only was she maybe not the first woman, but a woman of Hispanic descent. We have to break so many different barriers, because when I show up, I'm a woman over 60. I am a woman. I'm a minority woman of Hispanic descent. I have disabilities. So all of these things, I represent all of those things. So I lead from those places. So we have to understand that we have a responsibility as leaders to accept that. And I think that's one of the challenges we have. And then leadership is not defined by a title or a parking space or your salary. Because there are situations now where people are having to lead. Society is pushing us into places we've never been. And we have to accept it, and we have to move courageously into these roles. Did you hear the word courageous? And I want women who are listening today is to understand this one word. Accept the word of disruptive. Disruptive means we're going to get somewhere in a different way. And as we move forward in our roles in leadership, we are disruptors. And that is part of our leadership role. And it's okay. And it's okay. Because one of the challenges I have as a business owner, as a facilitator, as a coach, one of the things that it saddens me is to see confident women who have led in the corporate space and in the recent years who've lost their space because of downsizing and reshaping of organizations. And now they're transferring their skill sets into new businesses. And the struggles that they have because they don't know what to call themselves. They don't know what to do. They know that they have these skills, but now they're trying to package it. And then one of the things I have to constantly say to them is you have to lead yourself through this. Like if you were leading a project or a team or an organization, you have to lead yourself in the same way. And it's so hard to see these women struggle with creating this shift, not only a mental shift, but this emotional shift that they require. So I just want to applaud women who are out there who are leading. You're leading in all the different places in your life. But most importantly, you are changing the framework of what America sees as leaders, because we face structural biases that have been designed to keep us out of leadership roles. We deal with biases, unconscious biases and conscious biases in the workplace, because there's some people who believe that women shouldn't lead, aren't capable of leading, right? But then we also have to change our belief system, because someone told you, that's not for you. You can't do that. And we believe them. So I think this is why we as women can do all of these things, but it starts with courage and confidence.
Right. Great. No, great information. Abigail, do you have anything you would like to add to that?
I'm sorry.
I'm sure.
Yes. I'm sorry about that. Yes, I'm in agreement with what both ladies were saying. And it's right.
Abigail.
Are you on mute, Abigail?
No?
She's good.
Hello, testing. Okay. I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
I think we'll have to. Okay.
Go ahead, Abigail.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So yes, I'm in agreement with what both ladies were saying, and it's that confidence. And where does that confidence come from? And being able to take a look at ourselves and know that we do have some of the challenges that in the workplace, where does that woman belong there? Does she have the attributes and the qualifications? But that we can say the same thing about counterparts as far as men, and being able to say, I can learn, I can contribute, I have a lot to share, I want to be a part of a team that succeeds. And so being able to have those attributes of belief in yourself. And even when we don't believe in ourselves, when we're a little doubtful about our full capacity, we got to go forward. We got to go forward. We got to lean in and believe that what we contribute as women to our families, to our churches, to our businesses, or just to the community in general is valuable and needed.
Yeah.
Needed. Amen.
Yeah. And all of the, building the confidence and building that up with leadership, it also reminds me a lot of imposter syndrome, right? Because as women, we go through those things as we feel we're not that person, and so we're impostering them, and we're mimicking those behaviors. And especially when you're maybe one of two females in the room and there's 20 men that are leaders. So how do you all lead yourselves? I don't want to say manage, but how do you all lead yourselves when you're in that room full of men? What experience have you had? What is the resistance when you're in that arena, in that area, and especially when you have to lead men as well?
I struggle with the term imposter syndrome because I think I've never really felt like I was an imposter. I always was so authentic and true to myself in spite of myself. That didn't always serve well for me, but from a career perspective, but it served well for me when I went home at night to sleep. Mm-hmm. So I walk in the room and I am me and you are you, and
full and full.
Full and full. And so if you can't accept that, I always left that to be your problem. So when I walk in the room and a man is having a struggle with me being in the room, I didn't have a struggle with them being in the room because I expected them to be in there. So when I walked in the room, I expected it to be a room full of white males because that's the makeup. So when I walked in, what I had to stop myself was thinking through what they were thinking. So, I walk in the room, they think I'm this, I think of that. And so I had to stop that and said, it doesn't matter what they think. Who are you when you walk in the room? And so I stopped myself quite early in my career, walking in the room and trying to interpret and guess what you were thinking about me. And I started to react. I started to talk to you in the way that I wanted you to react to me. And so I learned behaviors that way. So, and to predict, if I do this, cause and effect, I do this, you're going to respond this way. And so I started to walk into a room and say, this is what I want to happen. Me and my sister girl were walking in with me. This is what we want to happen in the room. And this is what we're trying to sell. This is our presentation. This is what we need to. And so if I say this or do that, then this should cause that type of response. And so I stayed in that space. And so the response to me most of the time, and not all the time, but generally, was she knows what she wants. She's going to ask for what she wants, and we're probably going to give it to her. And so when that was the foundation that you build when you walk into a room, you walk and say, I'm coming in here for a purpose. I'm not coming in here to interpret how you think about me or build me up or whether you trust. That's not really where my space is. I also know outside of that room, there's that work that needs to be done to create that environment. But when I walk in that room, I'm coming in as me, and I'm not going to be, here I am.
Here you are.
And I don't want to offend you, but I don't want to be offended. So I want to trust you, and I want to be trusted. I want respect, I give respect. So we do all of that with the words and the behaviors, and not necessarily, I'm going to wait to see what they say, or I'm going to wait till I'm treated. I just have, we at the table. Hey, how you doing? Hi, it's good to see you. How's your wife? Okay, let me tell you about my kid. I'm here. Mm-hmm. And so I never really have had to be an imposter, I don't think, in my mind frame. The other thing that you ask is, how do I resist? I don't, I don't want to sound like I'm unaware, because I know that there is things to resist, but I leave it for them to deal with, because if that's their wall and that's their barrier and they don't want to receive what I bring to the room, I come up with another way to get around that wall or help that barrier. But I don't push against the wall. That, to me, that's a waste of energy. That I come in and you push against a wall. That's that takes a lot of your energy.
Right.
So if I see this wall, I go, okay, that's for them to deal with. What is the reason for the wall? Is it me? Is it something they learned over the years? Is it experience? But I don't try to hit that wall and say, you need to put that wall down and listen to me. That's not where I am. So I work around and say, okay, I understand that wall. I try to get to know that individual or the group, and then I work around that, because those are the skills I think we need to have. How to manage the different personalities, the different issues and different biases and different things coming in. We need to know how to manage that. So I use my skills to help manage around that wall and not try to push up against it.
Right. But I think what you're saying, and I really want to build on that, is that anytime that you give into that, you're giving power to that.
That's right.
So you are then giving away your power. And one of the things that I want to just bring the conversation back to the individual woman who we need to build up and see herself as a leader, is that in order for us to move forward into spaces where we have never been before, that we are venturing, we're like Star Trek, like Captain Kirk, we are exploring new destinations. But the reality of it is we have to accept that. And one of the things that I want to address is, because my nonprofit focuses on gender pay gap. Not only are we failing to join the leadership ranks at a higher level where we deserve to be, but we're also not being paid equal pay for the work and our capabilities. And so, ladies, I just want to go back to that word of power, and men who are online, who are watching as well. We don't want to because you need to hear this too, is that we need to practice our power of ask. We need to ask for what we want, but we also need to ask for what we need. And far too many times I hear from women who are negotiating salaries, they don't ask. They walk away and simply accept, well, we're offering this. I'm saying to you, no. Do your homework before you get there. Know what the market will bear. Know what that company's status is, and know that you can come in. A young lady called me last week, and she was one of a lady that I was mentoring and in a coaching session, and she was so excited. She applied for a new job, and the job doubled her salary. She was so excited, right? And then she took the job. 2 weeks in, she is doing some work, because she's now in human resources, and she's now doing this work, and she realizes that she makes $40,000 less than the person who was hired 6 months ago, who happens to be a man, right? But guess what? Her pay scale allowed it to go up to that point. So she was excited that they doubled her salary, but now she's mad because she didn't get that extra 40. She could have tripled her salary.
It was a missed opportunity.
It was a missed opportunity. So now she's mad at herself. And I say that to all of you, is how many times have you been in a situation where you walked away mad at you, not at the situation? So if we can get anything about leadership and leading personally, our leading for ourselves, is we have to become more aware of situations we're in. We have to adapt more to the room, listen to the language in the room, how they speak, how they conduct themselves. Do they look scared? Then we don't need to be scared. Learn to adapt to the culture and the community that you're going into. Make that part of your learning. What are you reading? Are you reading books on leadership? Right. Are you learning that there are leadership styles? There's leadership plans. There's all these different things. What are you doing to invest in you as a leader? And if you're listening to a podcast, or you pick up a book, or do you have a mentor? Do you have a sponsor? Do you have an advocate, an ally within your workspace or in your entrepreneurial community? Wherever you are, these are all different things. See, in order for us to grow, we have to know that these are assets that we need to obtain. We need to hold on to, but it all starts with the power of ask. What do I need? What book are you reading? What should I say? Let's meet before the meeting, a meeting before the meeting, so that way you get buy-in. There's so many different things that we need to do, but we have to be informed.
Awareness.
Yes.
And so awareness is so
Education.
critical. So that way, when we hear about that woman who is the first woman in this and the first woman in that, we celebrate her, but then we're going to say, okay, who's next? Who is next? And let me tell you, all of these, there are women who are leading in different places. So you want to really get really down to it. There's a lot of CIOs. There's a lot of CFOs. There may not be a lot of CEOs, but women are leading at high places. So get informed. Let their stories inspire you, right? And let their stories motivate you, right? And then share that, communicate that. But most importantly, let's celebrate it when we hear about it.
Right. I think those are some great tools, right, that people who are listening, I hope you're taking copious amounts of notes, because those are some great tools that you can take away to how to start educating yourself and how to really start to get yourself into leadership and to really start to learn, reading those books, listening to podcasts, but not only that, mentorship, right? It's so huge right now in getting a mentor and getting the right mentor and getting the right group of sponsors, or I like to call them your board of directors, who's going to boost your name up, who's going to boost your brand, who's going to help you along with that ride.
Who's going to say your name behind closed doors?
Behind closed doors, right. Yes. So, and that gives so much hope for our future leaders. We have a new Generation Z, and they're coming into our workforce. And not only that, they're also starting new companies as well. So I want to get some final advice and words. What would you tell that future leader right now if they were sitting here in front of you? What words of advice would you give that future minority women leader?
Let's start with Abigail.
Yes.
Well, and I think this was already said earlier. You are who you hang around with. So as young leaders are coming up, it's really important that they receive mentorship, that they are around other leaders, that they are around successful leaders. And so they're able to grow and to learn and to develop new skills and just be encouraged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Valerie?
I think we said a lot of things, and I was writing them down as we were talking, things around awareness and education. I think that we need to be aware of what's going on and what's real and what's not real. What are things that we've heard and believe it's true, but it's not. We think this is happening in our environment because this is what, I didn't get paid this, and so they don't like me, and so we start making up stories. We want to deal with the facts. So I think that we need to be aware, we need to be educated. I think the idea that you brought up, Yvette, around responsibility, it's a shared responsibility. It's not something that an organization owes us or is going to do for us. They're there to make money. They're there for their business. They have their own scope of reasoning for being there. And so when we have our own reason for working, whatever that is, and we need certain resources at certain times, then we need to be responsible for bringing that up and be brave and courageous enough to do that. And then take our space, own who we are, be ourselves, be authentic. And fall on your own sword. I mean, if you're going to die believing in what you're doing, you're not going to make it at that organization fight. But if you're going to make it, you're going to make it as you, and you're not that imposter that you were bringing up there earlier, Kiki. So that's mine is to remember that we're always going to be shifting. I said I started at 75. How many shifts have I made from wife to mother to entrepreneur? So you're shifting, and so you've got to be able to identify yourself. But that's through education, awareness, and courageousness, and taking responsibility. So all those shifts could only happen if you do those things, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. So for me, I'm so honored to be here with these powerful ladies. But what I want you to remember is this: that we're disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
We have to help get to new destinations in a new way. And then we have to be able to feel comfortable in leading that. Be informed. Most importantly, awareness is so critical here. But we also have to change belief systems, not of just others, but ourselves. Someone has told you something that you are holding on to your truth, and I'm here to tell you right now, it's no longer your truth. You have to rebuild your own truth, especially when it comes about your personal leadership and who you are and how you're going to lead. Because you can't pour into others until you can pour back into yourself, right? It's like, on the airplanes, they tell you to put the mask on first before you help someone else. And I want your leadership style to reflect that as well. pour into you so you can take that wisdom and knowledge and pour that into someone else. But I think the most important thing is, I think we can all agree that being a courageous and confident leader is what we need for women to be, whether they're nonprofit leaders, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're in their corporate space, or they're housewives, mothers, teachers, wherever they are in life, that they understand that they are capable and more than capable to lead. And we look forward to seeing your leadership.
Great words of advice for our future female leaders. I think for any leader, female, male, whoever, this is great words of advice. So I want to take time to say thank you, ladies, for having the conversation with me today. In regards to that, there are great nuggets that I'm going to take away and apply to my leadership journey and my leadership future, as well as I keep continuing to climb that ladder. And for those of you not in the studio or can't see us or listening, I wore flowers today because my mom always told me, give people their flowers before they're gone, so that you can show that how inspiring they are. So I wore flowers because all of you are very inspiring to me. So these flowers are for you. And so thank you all so much for joining us for Essence Learning Perspectives podcast. And we can't wait for you to join us for our next episode.
Thank you, Kiki. Thank you,
Thank you for joining Perspectives, a podcast by Essence Learning LLC. Essence Learning is your solution to personal and professional development. We partner with our clients to develop a learning strategy that will increase productivity, enhance performance, and align with their purpose and goals. For more information, visit us online at essencelearning.net or call us at 1-877-657-5755.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Thank you. Beautiful.